step into the spotlight.
Couple lights on, cameras roll, time to break the mold. No more silence, every story's gotta be told. Truth in the air, no filter, no disguise. Real talk, real change, we open up your eyes. We got the voices that are changing the game. Fearless, unchained, calling our names. From the struggles to the rise, we expose, we ignite. No topic too deep when you step in the light. We got the answers, spotlight, let your truth be heard. Unfiltered conversations, every thought, every word. We challenge, we question, we dive in the deep, breaking the silence. No secrets we keep. From the pain to the power, the lessons we learn. Voices of the people, let the fire burn. Dr. Donna, Dr. Laxley, leading the way, guiding the truth in a world full of gray. Experts, activists, voices untold. Everyday heroes with stories so bold. This is more than a show, it's a movement, a spark, illuminating shadows, bringing light to the dark. We got the voices that are changing, be heard. Unfiltered conversations, every thought, every word. We challenge, we question, we dive in the deep, breaking the silence. No secrets we keep. Step into the spotlight, let your truth be heard. Unfiltered conversations, every thought, every word. We challenge, we question, we dive in the deep, breaking the silence. No secrets we keep. We got the voices, spotlight, let your truth be heard. Unfiltered conversations, every thought, every word. We challenge, we question, we dive in the deep, breaking the silence. No secrets we keep. And if you want the real, then tune in right now. We're breaking down walls, no backing down. One mic, one voice, one mission tonight. Step into the spotlight, let's get it right. Let's get it right. Head to the spotlight. Let's get it right. What do?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to In the Spotlight, the home of unfiltered conversations where real talk is what we do. I am none other than Dr. Donna Thompson.
I am Dr. Laxley Stephenson, and together we are your moderators.
Yes, your fierce moderators.
Oh, I left that off?
Yes.
Fierce? Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think you're the fierce one.
Oh, we're both fierce. How about that?
Okay, I'll accept it. I'm going to be. Let's be fierce tonight, at least, because what we have to talk about needs to be said boldly.
Mm-hmm.
What we need to talk about tonight, because big things are happening around us, and we got to get with it, right? We can't sleep on it.
Yeah. We don't have. Even if we want to sleep, we can't. I don't think we're
not about sleeping. We're not about sleeping when we have work to do. And tonight we're in the spotlight. Another Thursday night. Amazing.
Another Thursday night.
March is almost over.
Oh, yay. You know what? Yeah, you're right. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, March.
Well, we just started. Wait a minute. We just started the year.
In
March.
that's always popping up, right? We just started the year and time seem to be moving so fast. But I think we're moving fast. It's not time.
Yeah, we're just busy.
Yeah, we're clocking. We're clocking. And of course, we're not the only ones clocking, because I hear my friends, they say it all the time. Time is moving so fast. It's because they're living a fulfilled life. So if you find that time is moving fast, it is because you're out there doing the do. You're making things happen. So continue to make it happen.
That's right.
We'll deal with the fast pace of time, right? So Donna, we got some big things going on in June. We're going back to Africa. We're going back to Kenya,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
We're going back to Kenya, and in fact, we're departing here from Atlanta June 6th, and we're going to Kenya for 14 days.
Yes.
14 days, right? And so,
That's
some
the
of
plan.
us, that's the plan, right? It could be longer.
Look, you never know. I'm just saying that's the plan.
I like to have a framework, right? So we have a plan. All right, we have a plan. But all things are possible. All things are possible, as we know. So yes, we're going to Kenya, and we are going to do some very impactful things in Kenya. And you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So this trip, we're going, oh my gosh, it's a full schedule, right? We're going to, of course, be doing some community outreach, a lot of community outreach. We will be doing the sanitary towels drive for the girls. And we're probably, we're still up in the air about how many schools we're looking to service. But we do have that initiative that is on right now for the sanitary towel for the girls. We are looking to build 2 toilets for 2 schools. We did that 2023, I believe, and I think we completed in 2024. So that project was successful. So we are looking to do that again this trip. So that's going to be 2 toilets for 2 schools as well. We also have the community outreach that we'll be doing, where we're going to have a clothing drive, and then we're going to have some dental care packages to hand out to the community. And then, of course, we also have visiting some of our cancer fighters that is suffering with that illness. It's worldwide, but we will be, making, some visits there, because we do have the CBO there as well, the cancer CBO that is there. And we will also, this is really, really very important as well, even though we're doing all this stuff as far as community outreach, but one of the big initiatives that we'll be doing is planting of trees, which I can't tell everyone how important it is to have trees. Trees is literally our life source. So we do have that initiative as well, that we'll be planting some trees.
Absolutely. So we're flying into Nairobi, and then we're spending some days in Nairobi, because of course it's not just the 2 of us going. So we're bringing some folks with us, and we want them to experience Kenya, not just work, but experience Kenya. So we're spending some time in Nairobi. They'll get to see Nairobi. They will go to the national park, right, in Nairobi. And then from there, we'll travel to the western region of Kenya. And again, it's another opportunity there as well, because they are able to, we're driving in the bus. And you see everything when you're on the bus, right? And we'll stop and we'll interact with whatever is in our reach.
Right.
So, yeah, so that's a beautiful thing right there, on that bus ride to Kitale, in the western region. And then from there, we'll spend some time in Kitale. We'll go to Vihiga County, Kakamega, and we'll also, it's very likely that we might just make a quick trip into Uganda for a few hours. So it's a packed type of a visit, work and play. Play. So 14 days will be well spent, and so forth. So yes, but what I want to say about this thing going to Kenya and doing all the work we're going there to do, there's a cost to it, right?
Correct.
Yeah, we're talking about building 2-pit toilets, right? We don't just build toilets like that. There's a cost to building toilets. So, and you said we like to support students with
Yeah.
sanitary pads, right? Again, there's a cost to all of that. So we're not the kind of program we're out there asking people to donate money, but if you feel it within you, if you're watching, I will watch this program and you believe this is something you like to, you find a way to participate and give back, then here's an opportunity to do so. You can, you can Zelle your donation, your contribution to a collision with purpose at gmail.com. That is our Zelle information. And if you'd like to make a donation, also, I'm going to pop this on the screen, Donna. Here is my book, Daily Insights Unveiled, Your Odyssey to Find Purpose. We're now running a special that if you purchase this book from our website, we will make a donation from the proceeds that we will use for the Kenya initiative. Do we have a name for that Kenya initiative, Donna?
No, we really don't.
Kenya Outreach. The Kenya Outreach.
Right. We didn't like a specific name. It was just, Kenya Outreach.
Correct. So I am posting the link to purchase the book. You buy a book from our website. We will make at least a $5 donation. And this is the thing right here. A Collision with Purpose 2025 Kenya Outreach. And it lays it all out for you, what we'll be doing in Kenya. So just wanted to pop that on the screen. And yes, there's a big comment here. They will be doing great things, a lot of community outreach, such as building 2 toilets. Yes, you got it right there. Perfect stuff there, Carissa. Thanks for adding that there. Yes, so we encourage you to support this initiative. It's a big deal. And Donna, you have seen it live. We've visited Kenya before, and we saw it firsthand what it's like to go to. Well, you went to one of those toilets.
Oh yeah.
Why is it so important to have these toilets? Because you went to one of them. It was challenging for you, right?
Yes. It was a bit challenging, but it is important because a lot of places in Kenya, a lot of homes and schools, they don't have the toilets like what we're accustomed to. They generally have pit toilets, right? And those last for a certain period of time. So after a number of years, then they're no longer usable, right? And then they have to start from scratch again. The conditions, honestly, they're not the best conditions. A lot of them, they're breaking down, they're in deplorable condition. As far as, sanitation, it's just really not the best. So being able to do this is just a small fraction of, how we can help.
Very small indeed, but a critical and necessary one. Because, when you're in school, you want to be in an environment that is healthy, that is conducive for learning. And that's what it's all about, right? We have seen toilets. We have done work with toilets in Jamaica as well as in Kenya. And we see how it helps and it boosts the morale of students when they're in a place where, it's just, you feel comfortable.
Yes.
Doing something that you have no choice, must do. So imagine if you don't want to go in there because it's, wow. Anyway, we'll leave it alone. Support if you can. We look forward to what they say in Jamaica, every little make a muckle.
Every little make a muckle.
That's what they say, right? Yep. That's what they say. Every little make a muckle. So
this is the dollar. Your dollar can,
right.
$1 go a long way.
Every little make a muckle. Yes, indeed. All right. So Donna, we have a guest tonight. We're not gonna labor this much longer. I'm gonna play a video. And then we're going to bring our guest on because really and truly, this show is about her, not us, right?
Yes.
So let's play a quick video and then we'll bring her on.
I'm a boy kid, I'm a boy kid. I'm a boy kid, I'm a boy kid. I wake up in the morning and I praise the Lord. I thank Him for His protection, and I walk in His steps, declaring that today's provision is set up for me. I love God and I love my friends. I'm a bold kid. I'm a bold kid. I'm a bold kid. I put on my armor and I write His word, blessing come out of my mouth. Cause I know to whom I belong. I am bold for Christ, Holy Spirit dwelling within me, carrying His presence wherever He sends me. I'm a bold kid. I'm a bold kid. I'm a bold kid. I'm a bold kid. Loving others as He told me to pray, for healing, miracles to see, knowing my identity in Christ, He is in me. I am a bold kid, He loves me, standing firm on His word, proclaiming everything I heard, not afraid because He is with me. Be bold. I'm a bold kid, I'm a bold kid, I'm a bold kid, I'm a bold kid. Put on my armor and I write His word, blessing come out of my mouth. Because I know to whom I belong. I am bold for Christ, Holy Spirit dwelling within me, carrying His presence wherever He sends me. I'm a bold kid. I'm a bold kid. I'm a bold kid. I'm a bold kid.
Right, welcome back to In the Spotlight, as the none other than Dr. Donna L. Thompson will tell you, it's raw, it's real, and nothing is left on the table. So Donna, who do we have on tonight?
All right. So we have none other than Miss Shanea Johnson. I hope I pronounced her first name correctly. She is actually from Morris Hall, a parish that is located in Jamaica, West Indies. We seem to be having a lot of Jamaican people here. She is actually, she's going to tell you all about herself, right? But she specializes in journalism. And currently, she's a senior communication and public relation officer and acting director of the corporate communication and public relations branch in Jamaica. She's also a certified mentor for children. And she works with, I'm going to tell you now, with her mentorship. I saw that here. She'll let us know all about it. But she's also a co-host of the podcast Empower Her to Succeed movement. Oh, yes. And yes, she is a mentor at the South Camp Juvenile Correctional and Remand Center. So I wanted to definitely mention that because that is very, very important to know that she's a mentor working with the children, the juvenile children. So that was very important. So without further ado, let's go ahead and have Miss Johnson on the screen. Drum roll. We have to get a real drum for real.
Bring her on, bring her on. You did such an amazing job with the drum. Bring her on, the hand roll.
Oh my goodness. How are you? Welcome, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I am doing well, thank you. And I trust that you are doing well, Dr. Thompson and Dr. Stephenson.
I am. Thank you.
Awesome. You know, we're so grateful and thankful, right? We're here having this conversation with you. And big stuff right here. Big stuff.
Yes, definitely. Big stuff.
So you have all these big jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
Before we talk about your big jobs, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I describe myself to be a person who is passionate. I normally use 3 words to describe my character. I believe in honesty. I value respect. I value discipline as well. And I think because of those traits and those values, it helps in terms of what I do in terms of work, and I believe it also shapes my outlook on the world and society.
Hmm.
Yes.
Can you rank them? Those three?
Pardon?
Can you rank those three? Which is
Like,
most? Which one is the top on
rank them. Okay. For me, the most important one. How do I rank them? They're all important. It's like they're in the same line.
Okay.
But I definitely believe in honesty. That's the main thing for me, honesty. If you're honest, it brings about a certain level of discipline. So you won't, you'll hold yourself accountable, to always telling the truth, or try to always tell the truth. And respect would be second, then discipline, but discipline kind of linked to the honesty.
I wanted to ask you that the
Yeah.
rank for a reason. Because we're living in a time, right, where we see political leaders of countries, not just one country, but all over the place, that they're so blatant with telling
Yes.
the truth, right?
Yes, definitely.
They just put it out there, and it's everywhere. It's happening everywhere. It's like
Yeah.
a way of life now. So I'm sort of trying to understand how you reconcile that with your beliefs and how you're driven by those things.
Well, sometimes, because we can't take things at face value.
Mhm.
For me, I'm always questioning things, and I look too at the evidence, because there are times when people will say this, and people in high level, high power, or so on, they'll say certain things, but does it match up to their actions? What has been the trend? You look back and think about it, what has been the trend, and so on. And from time to time, I believe we should be bold to ask questions. Yes, once we ask the right questions, we'll get answers.
Mhm.
Yes.
Absolutely. All right, that's just something I wanted to ask you, Donna.
No problem.
So, so as we were, introducing you, definitely saw that you graduated in communication, right? Uh,
Yes.
if you could just kind of like take us back to that defining moment in your life when you almost gave up but chose to persevere. And what was that moment like?
Okay. So one of the moments I vividly recall, my a period where I was going to apply for university. So during this time, so I'm from Clarendon. I'm from Marsall, a rural community, but I live in Tanarki at the time, in Clarendon, another community. But within or between these two communities, a lot of young females are there who are not so empowered to step out of their comfort zone. Coming from the country, you have to try your best to step out of that and step into your purpose, what you want for yourself in the future. And while I was there, I said to myself, nobody asked if I was going to university, but I sat down one day and I was like, Lord, I literally was like, Lord, I'm not stay in this state.
Mhm.
I need to elevate. I need to come out. I need to make my family proud. I need to be from my family. I need to be probably the first to do this. And I need to do it for myself as well, because I know where I want to go. And I made up my mind. I started asking questions, how to apply. I didn't have the money to apply, but I said, I'm going. I'm going somewhere, somehow. I'm going. And I started to get the information, gather the things I needed to gather, the documents and all of that. And it came to a point where I needed a loan and I had to get guarantors and so on. And not everybody is willing to be a guarantor. They're not sure what may happen and so forth, and they'll be held responsible for this loan, repayment of loan. And I was kind of disheartened because persons who I thought would have, actually said yes, they'd step up and be the guarantor and so on, even though I tried to guarantee that, hey, I'm doing this for me, but I know I have to fulfill my debt in the end. And it was coming down to the timeline where student loan was saying that they need the documents by this time, and I didn't have the guarantors. I felt like giving up. At one point I was there and I was like, Lord, I'm at this juncture. I tried everything. I tried everyone I knew. Everyone I knew who were viable. They could stand for me as a guarantor, but I got no's. And I felt like it's not going to work out. It's not going to work out. And I said to myself at one point that I'm just going to give up because it's not going to work out. But though in that state, so half of me feel like giving up, but the other half is saying, no, you can't give up. You have to push. You need to push. You need to do this for your family. Remember, you're trying to come out of this state to be somebody in society then, per se, right? And I had my aunt who agreed to being one of my guarantors. I spoke to her. Like, I just got that push to talk to her and tell her what's happening. And she immediately said, don't worry, her now husband will be the next person. And I was like, wow. Just listening to that inner voice, and moving the right time. The Lord says, when the time is right, I, the Lord, will make it happen. And I waited despite everything, and He allowed it to happen in that way. And He allowed me to be able to have a testimony from that experience.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. That's powerful. One thing for sure, you're not giving up. There's no giving up.
No.
You push, and it worked out very well for you.
Definitely.
Now,
Definitely.
there was some financial struggle. Clearly, you talk about that. Now,
yes.
I want you to put on your counseling hat, your advisor hat, and talk to those students out there who are facing the same situation right now. Because I know there are many out there who are facing that situation.
Definitely.
What can you tell them?
Okay. So, my advice to you, those who are out there listening, you're in the same situation as I was a few years ago, but my advice is not to give up. Sometimes it feels as though it's not going to happen for you, but once you're determined, once you know that you're not going to allow your situation to define who you are, you know where you want to go in life, and you know you want to persevere and excel, even if it's for yourself, for your family, use that why. Know your why and use that why to push you into the right direction, in the direction you want to go. Obstacles will come, challenges will come. And sometimes you can take a step back, look at the challenge, but don't give up. Keep pushing, keep asking questions. Sometimes, it will only be that we need to open our mouth, not keep it in, but open our mouth to the right people, and you'll definitely see your breakthrough in the end.
Before I go back to Donna, I just want to add something you said about your why.
Yes.
So one way to overcome fear is to make sure your why is right. and your fear.
Yeah. Yes.
And once that is the case, you'll be amazed what you can achieve and how bold you become and confident you become. Once that
Definitely.
powerful. That's why, if you're listening to us and you just heard what John said, the why is the key.
Yes.
Focus on your why, and you will move mountains. All right, Donna, I'm moving to you.
Okay, so we know that you're in, the Ministry of National Security, right?
Yes.
Share with us one of your biggest takeaways from working in that sector of Ministry of National Security. That's a big place to be.
It is a big place to be because, well, it's the ministry that's responsible for safety and security of its citizens, right? And it's a policy-based ministry. So policies are created, legislations are reviewed, and we have to allow them to be in alignment with our mandate and what the country is facing and what we need to get done for our citizens to feel safe and secure. A lot. I've learned a lot. I'm still learning a lot. But one of my takeaways is that in an environment as that one, it's a competitive environment, a demanding environment. But one of my takeaway is to persevere, to remain resilient, because there are times when you put in the work, you're trying to do the work to ensure that your country is better in terms of crime and violence being down. It's down so far, but you keep putting in the work, but people are still saying that they're not feeling safe. And what is the government doing? The government is doing. Yes, we're doing a lot, right? But my big takeaway is to remain resilient, because if we listen to persons who say that we're not doing anything, we give up. We don't continue to put in the work. And for us in my area, we have to communicate, right, on the daily what we're doing and to showcase what the ministry is doing to better the safety and security of its people. And sometimes it's overwhelming. It can be overwhelming, and it can be a stressful environment. But each day, I was talking with one of my colleagues even today, and we were saying that we're going to push, we're going to make it happen, because we need to allow people to know that this is what we're about, this is what we're doing. We're not just talking, but we're actually walking the walk, as well, as we'd say. Yes, so resilience is one of my big takeaways so far working in the Ministry of National Security.
Does that name sound important? National security, right?
Yes.
National security. So you like your job, right? Do you?
I do.
Working there, and working in an environment like that I imagine, can be high pressure.
Yes.
And you're a communications expert.
Yes.
So can you share an experience where your communication skills made a significant impact, whether in a crisis management or in shaping the perception of the public? And you talk about the perception of the public earlier.
Okay. So I'm going to share where we had a request from someone up top, high up top, right? And we wanted to get some information out and so on. A lot was happening. And we needed to get the information out on time to ensure that the public is aware of what is happening, not to become chaotic and and to be frightened and so forth. And there were times when, well, during this particular example, we had to stay late at the office and to just get the work done, ensure that we write our message in a way where they'll understand what is happening, in a way where they'll understand too that we're doing the best we can, we're doing the work. And we've gotten that story out, and the feedback that we've gotten from that particular story, I won't mention the exact story, but the feedback that we've gotten was positive, because people were now aware that they don't need to be frantic. They don't need to be in turmoil or uncertainty, but they felt a sense of reassurance. And that's what we have to do on a daily as communicators in Ministry of National Security, to ensure that people have information. Because when people don't have information, they'll act on their impulse and they'll act on what they believe is happening. Rather than allowing that, we'll have to stop that in the track, or foresee that may happen, and to ensure that we reassure them of the reality.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh. Big job you're doing. High pressure, right? Talking about
Yes, high pressure.
tension and people want to know that they're safe.
Yes.
So forth. And then you have to make sure that you tailor the right message and deliver the
Definitely.
right message, of course.
Definitely.
Yeah, big stuff. All right. Donna, can we take a quick break? And then we come back, we'll talk about faith and leadership, which is another big piece of
yes. Definitely.
Let's take a quick break. And Ms. Johnson, I'm going to play a video on the break, and I want you to just check it out, all right? Because we'll
Definitely.
talk about it as well.
Sure thing.
Caught in the web of what they said, lost in the expectations, living in hesitation. I walked in other shadows. Deep inside a fire burned, a whisper turned to a roar. I am liberated from walking in other shadows. I walk in my authentic self, breaking chains within. From the shadows to the light, a new life begins, shining so bright. Society tries to mold you into someone you couldn't be, fighting through the darkness to find the real me. No longer bound by others' rules, let your spirit soar. With every step you take, you are stronger than before. I am liberated from walking in other shadows. I walk in my authentic self, breaking chains within. From the shadows to the light, a new life begins, shining so bright. Breaking away from the shadows within, I rise up and shine from deep within. Beacon of light, I'll always be, living in truth, walking in victory. I am free, yes I am free. From the shadows to the light, I am free, walking in my truth, forever free, living in victory, shining brightly. I am liberated from walking in other shadows. I walk in my authentic self, breaking chains within. Self.
Wow. I walk in my authentic self. What a way to wrap it up.
Yes.
Right. Welcome back to In the Spotlight, where we're walking in our authentic self. Donna. What's that all about?
Man, so of course, Shadows Within. It's an anthology, right? We're going to have several co-authors, potentially 21. We're looking for 21 co-authors that basically we're just going to share our stories of how we have managed to break away from societal expectations, walking in other people's shadows, right? And when we talk about walking in other people's shadows, it could be, sometimes we walk in our parents' shadows, we walk in our children's shadows, and our community shadows. And at some point you realize in your life that none of this served you any good. You struggle to find your purpose and your why, like we spoke about, right? Because you're living everybody else's why. So we're going to be sharing our stories as to how, we've managed to break these shackles and to just come full circle to now be a full version of who you are and who God created you to be, right? So that now you can really walk in the purpose that you were meant to walk in, and just be authentic in who you are and being comfortable and being okay with it, to say, you know what, this is who I am and I love who I am. So that's what, the anthology is all about. And like I said, it will be 21 co-authors that will be writing in this story. And it's, once again, invitation, but if someone is out there and that you have a story that resonates with this topic, definitely feel free to reach out to us. I'll put the information in the chat how you can get in touch with us, and we'll get in touch with you so that we can have more conversation.
Wow.
Awesome.
And it's so interesting what you said, what God created us to be, and what a way to pivot to faith and leadership, right?
Yes.
Pivot to that. So yeah, Shanea, Shadows Within. It's big stuff. It's coming. When is it coming, Donna?
We are looking to have our manuscript by the end of 2025, with publishing between the end of 25 to the beginning of 2026.
Wow. All right. And this is not just for women or for men, it's for all of us.
All of us.
Because I dare say, those of us who are still walking in shadows, in the shadows of others, or done it before, we still have some work to do with that. So, hey, I think this is for all of us, for everyone. So get out of those shadows, walk in your own shoes, right? That's what it's about. So anyway, so we're talking about faith and leadership, and we're having our conversation in the spotlight with Shanea. Did I get your name right? Shanea.
Yes. Yes, you did.
That's what's up. All right. So Shanea, you mentioned in your bio that accepting Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, one of the most significant moments of your life. How did you get to that decision, and how did it change your outlook on life, your career, and leadership?
Okay. So when I decided to accept Jesus as my Lord and Savior, I actually started at a very tender age. I was in about grade 4. Yes, I was around 9, 10 years old. But there was something significant about that, about me and accepting Jesus, in that I understood at that age what it meant to accept Jesus, what I wanted to do in my life, the path I wanted to walk on. And I decided at that age, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. At that time, I was living with my grand aunt who raised me. In part, she raised me. And I told her one day that, I'm ready. I'm ready to accept Jesus. And I've been walking that walk ever since. So, yes. So, after looking back, experiencing life, many facets of life, the ups and the downs, the happy days, the bad days, the rainy days, and the sunshiny days, I realized that having accepted Jesus, there were things that would have happened in my life that I'm proud of how I responded in that, you know, it would take God, as Jamaicans would take God in a me, you know, to not respond in a particular way. And I remember particularly, you know, having conversations even during my friendships that I had, certain friendships that I thought I had, you know, having conversations leading to a few disagreements, but stepping back, looking at the situation, realizing that it's not worth arguing about, it's not worth, you know, being that person, then that unkind person. And I would have sat down from time to time. I still do sometimes, but I would have asked myself, what would Jesus do in this situation? I used to practice that like a lot. What would Jesus do in that situation? How would he have responded? Am I responding like how I think he would have responded? And there are honestly sometimes when I got angry, I snapped, you know, and I would have come back to myself and really and truly analyze, you know, do some self examination and so forth. And where I needed to apologize, ask for forgiveness, I would have definitely gone to persons and asked for forgiveness, because there are times, you know, we are grown, we think we're grown and so grown, and we cannot apologize, we're never wrong, we cannot take the blame, because we're, especially at work, we're in certain positions, we cannot take the blame, and we're not supposed to, or we think we're not supposed to apologize and so on. And I've seen where I've grown based on my faith in this area where I would have sat down and said, you know, you're wrong, Shani, could have done this better, you should have done this. But guess what? Despite what you've done, go and make it right with the person. And even though I'm in a higher position than some persons that I might have encountered while working together on a project or something, it didn't matter for me. It didn't matter the title, but it mattered that I would have gone to the person, spoken to them, reconcile, and our relationship was better, even better than before.
You know, better than before. Donna, before you go, you know, she said she talked about walking in the shadows, right? And we just,
Yes.
you know, that's the right shadow to walk in, right?
Yes.
If you're gonna walk in any shadow,
Right?
they end those
Yes,
shadows.
definitely.
Let me give it back to you, Donna.
So, you know, you're in such an important role in your professional life and also in your spiritual life, right?
Yes.
And I see, you know, you're a youth leader in several different areas of your life. What are some of the struggles you see that's affecting our youth today with societal pressures and all the other outside things that's happening with them? And how do you help them to navigate through some of those struggles?
Okay. So, young people tend to have, especially those in the adolescent stage, they tend to have a lot of hormones and so on. And some of their struggle is that, you know, they may have sexual struggles and urges and so on, self identity, knowing who they are. Understanding who they are, understanding their purpose. And from time to time, we don't necessarily speak about these things on a one-on-one or as a group in church, because sometimes, especially if you grew up in the old time church, you know, you're supposed to remain safe and Holy Ghost filled, water baptized. Yes, but the reality is that young people have these struggles. And if we do leave them up to handling their feelings and their urges and, you know, the things that are happening in their mind, and we don't have somebody there to kind of help them to navigate how they're feeling and talking about their feelings, then they'll go on the wrong path. So as a youth leader, it takes a lot. It takes a lot to deal with young people. It takes
Right.
a lot of energy and effort to deal with young people. There were times I felt like I can't do this. I used to go to my pastor and say, Pastor, this year I'm giving up my position. It's a struggle. But each year I say, but I know I can't give it up, because I know I have the young people that I need to encourage.
Right.
And I know I have the young people who are depending on me to be there for them, because there are times they don't see anybody else they can feel comfortable enough to talk to or relay what they're going through, and people would understand it, especially some older people would understand it. So I know that I have to be there for them despite the struggles, and every year I'm giving it up. I still push to be there, to be that voice of reason for them, to explain in reality what your body is going through. It's normal. It's biological. It's normal. That's how God made you, and to understand their identity, because often we see where, especially in church, we see where young people would use religion to cover up. It's a cover to say that, oh, I'm this type of person and I'm holy and I am all that and more, you know? But really and truly, on the inside, they're struggling, they're falling apart. They just need one person to come to them and talk to them about life, talk to them about their identity. What is their purpose? Sometimes you don't know what your purpose is. You don't know how to understand or find out what your purpose is. And so I've seen these struggles, and I've sat down with a few of my young people and talked to them about life in general, just to be real, because I think I'm one of those young Christians who are real. I don't hide or pretend that, hey, sex is not real and I can't feel any sexual urges. No, the reality is you have to face your reality, and you have to acknowledge that this is the spot you're in. How can I deal with this, instead of finding comfort in something else or someone else? And oftentimes we wait until that happens, then we're trying to fix the situation when we could have avoided it if we had gone to the root cause.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
Shanea, you talk about self-identity from the perspective of young folks, but I also want to add that even some of the older folks as well,
Yes.
self-identity,
Yes.
and even with making excuses using the Christianity saying religion. So a lot to talk about there, to unwrap there, and
Yeah.
that's a great. That's a conversation by itself.
Yes.
The show
Yes.
with it by itself. So
Yes.
good stuff. And let's continue with mentoring. Talking a
Yes.
little about mentoring, because that's a big piece of what you do. And something really caught my attention, that you're working with, at the South
South
Carolina Correctional and Remand Center, and that must be a whole different level.
It is.
So talk to us about that, and yeah, just bring us on board with that. What you do there.
So the funny story, I've always wanted to work with young people leaving university. I mean, I've been a youth leader from as far as I can remember, and going through university, finishing, and I remember saying to God, I want to do some work with young people who are considered bad picnic, as Jamaicans would say. Yes, as Jamaicans would say, young people who some people have given up on. I want to do some work in that area. And it so happened that I got a call that they needed they have an internship and they needed someone to be an intern to Ministry of National Security in the offender management branch. Offender management deals with the kids that we have to interact with the Department of Correctional Services in order to deal with the children. And through that mentorship, that internship, there's a mentorship aspect to offender management, and that's how I started this mentorship journey. And I smiled when I started my mentorship journey, because there are times, as I said before, we see some kids, we don't understand why they respond the way they do. But after starting my mentorship with them, just listening to them, you know, kind of coming out of the glasses and the heels and all of that, but coming down to a level where they're at, meeting them at their level, and sitting and just rapping with them one evening to find out how they are, their interests, and so on. Then they found, I realized that they started getting comfortable and they were sharing with me some of the things that they have done and what had happened and so on. And I realized, I started thinking back that we Jamaicans, we love to say picnic bad. You know, children are bad, but they're not bad. Their reality is, this is how I'm in this situation, this is how I can respond to this situation. That's what they understand. And this is how best I see I can respond. So I'm going to respond this way because it's going to solve the problem. That's what they have here. But I realized that after mentoring for some time, they needed the right tools to respond to the problems that they have. It's the tools they don't have. That, yes, and what they have, they think is the right way to them. It's their right way to respond. And sometimes we notice, this is how mommy responds to me, daddy responds to me, so it is how I should respond. Right? So after, getting into the mentorship and talking to these children, I realized that they need someone to show them, show them the right way, give them the tool how they can react to respond, simple things. And the mentorship journey has been quite, and it's interesting. It's transformational. I remember doing mentorship up to COVID time. Even during COVID, we had to break first, of course, and go online for them to get onto the online sessions and set that up and all of that. And I remember before leaving, before COVID came and so forth, and if something would have happened and I don't go to my mentorship session, the young ladies would have asked their case manager what happened. Why Shanea isn't here today? They need to see Shanea next week. Today didn't work, but next week they need to see Shanea. And they would have written to me to say, to say thanks, and they have been impacted. And I realize it's how we interact with these young people. If we understand their situation, then we'll be able to help solve their issues, or some of their issues that we can really solve. And that's what I've been doing. I'm still doing mentorship. I'm realigning my focus as well, because there are certain things that I had to do and so forth, but realigning, redirecting. And I know that the mentorship program, I can safely say that the mentorship program has been working based on what the children are saying and based on what testimonies I've heard, the children leaving the centers, and having testimonies to share because they've been impacted positively, not just by me, but other mentors, and they want this for others, for their peers, and they want more of this for children in situations like what they've had before.
Wow.
One more follow as a follow-up. Do they have a program like that for older folks?
No, we haven't had a mentorship program for older folks. Probably it's something to look into.
Well, they have their parents, right? And
yes,
and these kids, based on what you're saying, they learn some of these behaviors from observing parents.
Yes.
So I'm thinking that, it would probably be some help.
What I do know is that we have, from a crime prevention perspective, we have gone into the streets to talk to parents about their parenting. We have had training sessions to train parents in terms of how they discipline their children, just how they parent, the parenting style, because we do have a different parenting style in Jamaica, different areas of Jamaica, whether it's uptown, downtown, rural area versus urban area and so forth. And we've been going into the different spaces, uptown, downtown, rural, urban, and to just reach these parents and understand what their parenting skill is and to show them what better parenting styles are there so that they can better become good parents for their children.
And just let me add one more thing, and I think this is important, that parenting is not specific to any age group these days.
Yes.
So we have young people, very young people having children. They're not parents. So more reason why this needs to be across the board. Mentoring must be across the board.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think. Donna?
Yeah, I mean, wow, absolutely. It's interesting that you just said that within one island, depending on where you are, the parenting skills could potentially be different.
Yeah.
And this is kind of like outside of some of the questions, but do you think, or do you see where, based on social economic, that impacts some of those parenting skills?
Yes, definitely. We've seen where, because there's a lack of certain resources, needs, parents may take it out on a child, or especially if they're in a relationship where they're facing issues with their partner. How they respond to their child can be based on that, and that's an underlying issue that they have. But because they haven't dealt with the issue, they may respond in a negative way to their child, or end up abusing their child based on what's happening internally, right? So we have seen that before.
Wow.
Mentoring is a big thing because that's one way to build capacity, right? I was wondering that in Jamaica, is there a national body, an entity, a central entity that is responsible for establishing protocols for mentoring in Jamaica? Is there such a thing?
So far, I am not aware of an established entity that deals with mentorship, but I can definitely search and let you know if there is.
Yeah, we're curious because we have a nonprofit agency here United States, and mentoring is a big piece of what we do here in the United States, and we want to extend and expand into Jamaica.
Awesome.
We want to expand in Jamaica, but we're learning that there is such a thing. You have to go through, I think not sure what it is, so I won't say, but we'd like to talk to you more about that to see what
No problem.
about mentoring, and
No problem.
protocols, some standards that you must meet before you can mentor kids. And it makes sense that you should have those. So we want to know more about that.
Well, I know though, based on the mentorship program that we have at Ministry of National Security, there's a mentorship training that each mentor has to attend. They're vetted before becoming a mentor and so on. I mean, it's national security, so they're going to do their checks.
Yeah, and from what we're learning, the overall general program falls under the Justice Department, is what we're understanding, the mentoring program. So we'd like to know more. So if you could help us with that research, we'd truly appreciate it.
No problem, definitely.
All right, Donna.
Okay, so I see that you have a online talk show. We're going to a different side here. Relationship Wednesdays.
Yes.
All right. We've spoken about the children. Now we're talking about the grown-up and relationships, marriage and relationships. So in your experience, since you have this talk show, what are some of the most common misconceptions you've seen that people have about relationships, and how does your platform help to aim to bring that clarity and understanding for individuals?
So there are quite a number of misconceptions that people tend to have about relationships, and I'm just going to name 3 misconceptions and explain how I've dealt with it. My audience and I, to the conversations we've had, interesting conversations we've had. But firstly, some of the times we tend to think in a relationship that love is enough. My grand aunt would say that love can go shop. We can't carry love go shop. And that's a major misconception, because we tend to say that, because if this person loves me enough, they will accept my bad behavior. They'll overlook the behavior. They will go out of their way to get certain things done for me because they love me enough, and so on. Or love is enough. I'm looking to start a relationship or to go into marriage, and because I believe that love is enough, as one of the partners, none of the partners working, none of us looking to have a roof over our heads, but how do you make it work? It's not realistic. You want to have a relationship, you want to start a family, but you don't have certain resources in place. That cannot be realistic. It cannot be, because sometimes too, you wake up, you don't feel like you're in love today. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Are you going to leave the relationship because you don't feel like you're in love? The other misconception is that sometimes people tend to think they know everything about their partner. But I always say to my audience, you don't know everything about your partner. You know quite a lot, but there's always room to understand who your partner is, to understand that there's something you can learn from, just learn about your partner, something new almost every day. If you open your eyes, if you listen, there's always something you can learn about your partner. And there are times when we say it, but we don't necessarily look and try to understand something new from them, you know, and it's hard. It makes sometimes the relationship hard to deal with because we thought when we see something new pops up, we thought that we knew the partner. So that's one of the other misconceptions that we have. And lastly, the other one, which a lot of people, I believe, have this misconception that arguments are a sign that the relationship is bad or toxic. You can have healthy arguments, healthy conversations, right? But at the end of the conversation, it must be a learning process. It must be something positive that you take away. Though you're arguing, the conversation gets heated at times and so on, but there must be positivity that you take away or a lesson learned, small nuggets that you take away and you can apply in order to change whatever issue is there or fix the issue and for that relationship to get better. So we've spoken, there are different episodes on these topics and so on, and we've spoken about some of these misconceptions, some of the conversations. Oh my God, they're interesting. Very interesting. But I do believe that the platform Relationship Wednesday has assisted, especially the younger folks, to understand that when you're formulating a relationship, it's not going to always be glitter and gold and love and all of that. No. But when these issues, when the hard conversation comes, you have to be strong enough to speak about what's happening, to talk, to have the hard conversations and to understand each other while doing so and ensure that the conversations you're having, they're not harming each other, they're not abusive, but they're for a purpose and they're for edification. Yeah.
Who was it that did that song? What love got to do with
Got
it?
to do with it. Is it Tina Turner? I think it's Tina
I
Turner.
think so.
It's
Yeah.
a second-hand emotion. That's what. Anyway, those are not my words. Paraphrasing a song here. Anyways, yeah, I think it was Tina Turner. Paul, big song, and in some ways very relevant, right? Still to this day. So yes, so you're doing big work. That's awesome work you're doing there, and yes, need more than love, right?
Yes.
Was it your aunt that was where you take love to the store? Yeah,
Yeah.
you gonna buy grocery with love?
No?
Yeah, as important as love is, yes, but you need
Yeah.
more. You need more. You gotta
Yes,
learn to go.
definitely.
And
Action is needed.
absolutely, and a lot of times you don't even know your partner,
Yeah.
much less you know everything. You don't even know them, who that partner is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're learning, right? You're learning
Yes.
a lot. But great, that must be an awesome conversation. How can we, tune in and to your show?
So I've done some live videos on Wednesdays. I do go
Mhm.
live, but I haven't gone live in a little while. I'm trying to rebrand
Mhm.
Relationship Wednesday.
Okay.
So I'm in the process of getting things in place. I'm working on getting some things in place to rebrand, but I do leave nuggets from time to time on Instagram, my Instagram stories or Facebook stories, WhatsApp stories for those who have my contact,
Mhm.
and I definitely leave those nuggets about relationships on a Wednesday, or even if it's not a Wednesday, because there are times there will be something that comes into my spirit to speak to people about relationship, and I'll definitely post, but mostly it's on a Wednesday. I will definitely have nuggets to share about healthy relationships, keeping them healthy and happy.
Well, before the show is over tonight, we want you to drop one of those. Another one,
Definitely.
right? Before the
No
show is
problem.
over. You know, March is designated as an important month for women, right?
Yes.
It is. It is. And you're the co-host of Empower Her to Succeed. And it's movement.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
movement where it's all about empowering women. What
Mhm.
are some of the big obstacles holding women back from success? And how do you hope that your show Empower Her to Succeed will address some of those challenges?
Okay. So some of the challenges I believe that are holding back women from succeeding, I mentioned identity
Mhm.
before. I think that's one of the major challenges because as women, we're wired differently. We're emotional beings, yes. And if we don't understand our purpose, where we want to go, we'll fall for anything. If we don't have that compass within to motivate us, to push us, if we don't have the self determination and motivation, we can definitely fall for anything. And there are times too when some of us as women we're in certain relationships, and because of the type of relationship we're in, it doesn't allow us to blossom as purposeful women. We may have talents within us, we may have skills within us that we want to blossom, we want to get it out there, we want to utilize our skills and talents, but it's hidden. You spoke about living in shadows, right? And some of these relationships can cause, especially the toxic relationships, can cause women to hold in their talents and skill, not owning it, but holding it in. And it's like they're suffering on the inside, but because of the relationship that they're in, the man should always be first. The man should always be doing everything. You should not be heard. You should just do whatever you're told to do. And I think too, it has a little to do with patriarchy because we still do, though we're living in a modern age, we still do have patriarchal ideologies still lingering. We still do practice that the man, he is supposed to get everything first. Not saying that we're not supposed to, as women, wives, and so forth, to serve or leaders of the house who are the men. That's what the Bible speaks of, yes. But I'm saying that we still do have in this society men using that to control women. And because of that, we find that women are they're so burdened down, they're suffering in silence, and they're not able to allow their light to shine from within because of that circumstance that they're living in.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hmm. Serious stuff.
Yeah.
Relying on old beliefs that are no longer relevant, useful.
Yes.
Because you even in schools, right, and education, you see women outperforming men.
Mm-hmm.
Our
Yes.
our culture for sure.
Yeah.
In our culture, in probably so in our race as well, women are the ones who are graduating from schools at a higher frequency,
Mm-hmm.
greater numbers
Yeah.
than men, but they're not getting their just dues, right? They've been held back,
Yeah.
because of traditional beliefs, societal norms, and so forth. So
Yeah.
change is definitely necessary there and will eventually happen with more women, stepping up in leadership positions as well,
Yes.
running,
Yes.
corporations and companies and so forth. Mhm.
And I think too that is why our movement empower her to succeed.
Mhm.
I think it's one of the basis why this movement was started, to ensure that we empower women, because we do have women from different spheres of life, and oftentimes they need motivation. They need somebody to encourage them, to give them that little push, to allow them to know that, hey, you can do this, not because you're considered the weaker gender, as society says, and so on, but you can go after what you want. Even if you're a single parent, as a woman, you can defy the odds. You can
Right.
go after what you want. You can be that single parent, but you still can persevere. You still can excel. And that's what we've been pushing, especially this week. We've been pushing women thriving, not just succeeding, but, or overcoming their challenges, but thriving as they overcome the challenges.
Let me add one more thing. 'Cause you said something, and I'm a product of a single parent home, and
Mhm.
and most single parent home, there's one reason why you get success from those single parent home is because of the woman in that home.
Yes.
Every single
Yes.
time. So women are delivering, they've been delivering. And anytime you talk about single parent home, you're talking about a woman who's in there making it happen day in, day out, taking full
Mhm.
responsibility, being the captain of that ship. So
Yes.
anytime there's success from that place, what we call a single parent home, is because of the woman
Mm-hmm.
who is that
Yeah.
single parent. You very rarely hear people talk about single parent as a male.
Father. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
of course, is that the best way? Probably not. But success only come from those homes because of the woman in that house.
Yes.
And speaking as a product of one of those, you know,
And then because she has to balance everything, you
absolutely.
know, yes, put on the different hats, the male hat, the woman hat at the same time, and balancing everything,
Mhm.
you'll see the success, especially when she wants good for her child.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's take a minute here to acknowledge some of the folks who join us tonight. We have Hilda Hibbert, and she's been making very positive, good comments. We have Bobby Harold. We have Caricia Brown Lysom is on. We have Dr. Garfield McCook was on earlier. And who else? We have quite a few folks who came. Bobby Harold, I guess that's someone you know. He
Yes.
you brought him with you. Rosemary Lewis was on, probably still on. So we just want to say thanks to each of you for joining us and keeping this program going, because we're not doing this for ourselves, not even just for our guests, but we want to share important knowledge
Definitely.
that we believe is important and can make a difference. All right. So Donna, we're at 1:22. We have some more time left. So let's pivot to let's talk about personal growth and future aspiration, right? So I'll go first, Donna. You know, Ms. Johnson, Shanea, you've described your life as a tapestry of experiences and lessons. You've seen so many things, right? If you could go back and give advice to your younger self, what would you say? And what lesson do you think your younger self would have struggled to understand at this
Okay.
time?
So if I could go back, if I could go back, I think, to be honest, I think I would tell my younger self that how I view the working world is really different. It's really different from what I have in my head, or what I had in my head. Because from a young age, I had this thing. Probably I watched too much movies, but I had I had this thing in my head where I thought that going in the working world, you do your work, you get pay, bonuses if you're entitled to bonuses and so on. But if you come upon an issue, you would have this roundtable talk to sit and discuss the issue, find the solution, and get it done. That's what I had. But it's not so. It is not so. Oftentimes, there are times, sadly, there are times when you may make mistake, younger self, you make mistake, but it is not the response you're looking for is not what you get. And it can be brutal. It can be brutal where your spirit may be crushed by what is being said and how it's being said. And there are times when people will always have things to say, but what I know I would encourage my younger self to do is not to be a doubter, because there were times when my younger self, I knew some things but I doubted. I had a lot of doubt, and because of that, I was a little afraid to come out of my shell and to talk what I knew, because I feared what people may say, or they might not understand where I'm coming from and so on. And I've learned, younger self, I've learned so much, and I've grown, grown and blossomed. But I would have told my younger self, in spite of, to still persevere, to still push amidst the odds, the adversities, and your hard work one day will pay off.
Right.
That's what I would tell my younger self.
Great advice for yourself.
I've learned. I've learned.
And by the way, great advice to other folks out there listening.
Definitely, definitely.
Right. So speaking about adversities, right? We've seen that, you've had to overcome a lot of adversities, but even with that, you've also had great success.
Yes.
Multiple areas of your life. But ultimately, what would you like your legacy to be? What legacy would you like to leave behind, both in your personal and your professional life?
Okay, so I've sat down and thought about my legacy for some time and my purpose. And I realized that I believe it is a calling in dealing with relationships, in mentoring, yes, relationships and mentoring. I've started relationship advising from I was small. I was always
Uh-oh.
I was always that's okay. I was always the person, the go-to person who siblings would come to or friends would come to, and to talk about the relationships issues and the small issues they have, because
Right.
looking back, they're small issues, but I was that little person they'd come to and ask for advice. And somehow, whatever I would have feel on the inside to say to them whenever I tell them to do this or to say this or look at it this way, whenever they do that, it always works. It always works for them. So I believe that my calling is something, it has to do with relationship counseling or marriage counseling and so forth. And the legacy that I want to leave behind, hopefully it will be manifested by the help of God, of course, to have this marriage counseling firm or relationship counseling as well, and to use that platform to encourage people. people in their relationships, to strengthen their relationships. Because often what I find is that we do have relationships that are suffering because they don't have anybody to talk to. They don't have the tools to navigate through the issues that they're going through and so on. And I too realize that I realized this when I was younger, that in the church, we have a lot of married people in the church, but are they happy? Are they in happy, healthy marriages?
Right.
Oftentimes they're not. But because it's Christianity, it's church, I have to put on a front and I have to show that my marriage is beautiful because God said this and God said that. But what is the reality? And I would often, even in church, I would often talk to people about their relationships, how you can fix this, how you can do this, and so on. And I realized that that's what I need to do. I believe it is a calling for me to help people to adjust or to help them along the way of life to live healthy and happy lives, because I do believe that God created marriages and relationships for the betterment of the people, for happiness, for child rearing, yes, but for happiness to be enjoyed in every aspect of the sense of a relationship. There, it should be enjoyed. It should be honorable. Marriages are honorable, and it should be something that you experience wholeheartedly before leaving this earth.
True.
Yeah.
I just, when you have these conversations in church, how people respond? I'm really curious.
I think they're it seems to me like they're understanding what I'm saying, because they've never seen this come to them, in this way and so on. And then it's a young person coming to them. I've seen where they're open to listening, and I was interested, like, this is quite interesting, like, okay. But I'm happy that people are able, even at an older age, they're able to be open to listen. And I think they're really deep down, they want somebody to talk to them about relationship, but they're not going to get up and tell you, that they want somebody to talk to them. So
Right.
I use the opportunity whenever I get it to speak to them from time to time.
Awesome. That's powerful.
Yes.
Right.
That's big. That's big. Let's change things up a little bit as we're getting ready to close out, right? We have
Yeah.
what we call the quick fire round. We're going to
Yes.
toss some questions out there, 3 questions for that matter. And let me begin by saying, if you could have a one-on-one conversation with any historical or influential person, past or present, right? Who would it be and why?
So I definitely would say Maya Angelou. I really, really love Maya Angelou. She's a beautiful soul, I would say, based on what I've seen and heard, her stories and so forth. And reason why I would have a one-on-one with Maya is because of how she has impacted the Black female community and what gave her that drive. How did she manage to, in her society back in that time, that era, how did she overcome, and how was she motivated despite all she went through? When she was young, she was abused, sexually abused, by her relative. And how did she, despite that, how did she overcome that? And how did she find this innate drive? Is it an innate drive or push that she had to wanting to do more for females? And I would just want to, because I believe that she is a wealth, a tower of knowledge. and she would have had some form of impact on society. And her poems, even to this date, are still out there and still being used to empower women, to empower the Black community as well. And I just think I would want to just sit at her feet and learn from her.
Wow.
Yes. Learn from her.
Powerful. Good, great choice. Great choice. Donna, you want to ask the next question? The next.
Sure. So, what book has had the greatest impact on your life, and what lesson did you take from it?
Okay. I've read so many books, but really and truly, I must say, there's this book I read in sixth form. I still remember the story because of how it was written. It's Purple Hibiscus by Chimamanda Ngozi. She's an African author. And this story was really the synopsis of the story is about this rich family. Papa and Mama, their kids, Kambili and Jaja, and they're rich, they're wealthy, and all of that. And their family is seen as one of the most influential in society. They go to church, they're Roman Catholic, they go to church, and everything looks nice and dandy. But Papa, he is the authoritarian, right? The leader for the family, but authoritarian. He dictates, or a dictator, because he dictates when they eat, when they sleep, when they wake, everything. But on the outside, he's seen as a different person. He gives away a lot of money. He makes the biggest donations. And at home, he abuses his family.
Wow.
Yes. And I believe Chimamanda was sharing her story, but it's a real life story, of what happened in Nigeria during that time, right? And you would not have believed that this person is almost seen as a god based on how it's written, but you wouldn't believe that he's this other person when he's at home, and nobody at home really wants to talk up or say anything. They endure it. But the lessons I've learned from that story is that not everything that we see is really that glitters is gold. Not everything that glitters is gold. And that in spite of everything, the family persevered. Not all seasons last, because at the end of it, I guess because Mama was fed up, she was tired of the miscarriages, because he would have beaten her and she would have lost the babies, and she wasn't talking about it, so everything built up on the inside and so on. But not everything lasted, because in the end, though Papa died, the season ended and the family started to live. So there are times when we do have some things in our life. It doesn't have to be a person, but things in our life that we hold on to. We don't talk about it. It's hurting us really. It's hurting us within emotionally. Emotional damage is quite, I believe, is one of the most serious damages we can discuss, because it impacts your spirituality as well, right? And we sometimes are placed in situations where we hold on to the things that are hurting us and we don't let go. But when we choose to let go, or if we're forced to let go, that's when we really start to live. And that's how the story ended, really. The family started to live after that, in all of that, when that season ended.
Wow.
So that's my takeaway.
Donna, you want to do the next one, Donna? Because I know you have a good. I know you have a good one.
I know we're like running a little bit over, but if you had to pick one song as a soundtrack for your life, what would it be?
Woo. So I would definitely pick this song. If it had not been for the Lord on my side, tell me where would I be? Where would I be? That would be my soundtrack. Because after looking at everything, looking at university, life in itself, the journey, if it really hadn't been for God, I'm not sure what would have happened, where I would have been. So that would be the soundtrack.
Wow.
Perfect.
Perfect. What a way
Mm.
to tell the song by singing it.
I tried.
No, you didn't try. You did it. You did it. You did it. There's no trying in you. There's doing in you.
Okay.
Clearly. So, well, Shanea, is there anything else you like to add? Any questions we didn't ask? Because there's so much more we can talk about. So your story is so big. So
Yes.
we didn't cover it all. So here's an opportunity for you to give us a form of a closing argument.
Okay. So for what I would want to do, really, not a question, but just an encouragement. Because I know we do have a lot of persons viewing from different spheres of life, probably different countries, and so forth, cultural beliefs, and so on. But what I want them to take away is that from my story, and which I want to use to encourage them, is that you should not allow your circumstance or situation to define you. Your environment does not define who you are. It does not define where you're going. But use your hardships, whether it's poverty, whether it's financial struggles, self-identity issues, use that to push yourself into the direction that you want to go. My hardship, my struggle, my push, my why was knowing that I'm from a family that doesn't have it all, but I wanted to get out of that situation because I know that one day I'm going to be able to pull my family up and out of that situation. And that was my why in going into university, in just going on this journey called life. And my why has expanded. So your situation doesn't define who you are. Use your why when you've overcome one of your challenges and you go to the next level. Your why is going to expand. You're going to want to help others to come out of their situation and to realize that they can go further, even further than myself, and to become the person that they were designed to be and to collide with purpose.
Wow. Awesome. That's awesome. That's all I can say. Before, Donna, I'm going to say something. Before I say that, then you can close out. I want to acknowledge there is I think it's Stacia Mills. Yes, she said, true. We have, who else we have on here? We have Caricia in agreement with so much of what you said. We have Dr. McCook saying very interesting. Martin Thompson saying that, Johnson, you are truly an inspiration.
Thank you.
We have Hilda Hibbert. She's saying very nice. We have Croissant. She's on here. If it had not been for the Lord on my side, that is a perfect soundtrack. So you nailed it again. You made quick fire into something else. Certainly it was not quick fire answers, but the answers were so powerful that thanks for those answers. So I just want to say this.
No problem.
I just want to say this real quick because I just want to say thank you for sharing your incredible story with us tonight.
Yes.
And your story is one of resilience, and that's a big thing in your life. It's faith, purpose. You have, just jumped up above all the challenges that you've had to face along your journey. But not just that, you have used those challenges as lessons to learn to uplift others as well. So for that, here at the Collision with Purpose, that's what we're all about, empowering people, and you are about empowerment. So we celebrate you for that. Now,
Thank you.
Something to folks out there who are listening to us tonight or watching us, that this conversation was never about you, Shanea. It's about you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's about us, all of us, about the responsibility that we all carry to walk in gratitude, humility, and in service as you have.
Definitely.
Working with those kids coming out of incarceration and so committed and loyal to that work that you enjoy doing it, and it shows in the conversation that you had with us tonight. So again, we commend you for. And I want to say this about gratitude, because as we're getting ready to go to Kenya to do the work that we are called to do here at the Purpose, I want to say that gratitude reminds us that no matter where we are in our life, there is something to be thankful for.
Definitely.
Thankful for. And maybe it is a lesson that we've learned in the toughest of seasons. And you talk about that book and the lessons learned in that family, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it could be the people who have stood by us, or maybe it's simply the fact that we're still here, still standing, and still pushing forward. And also, I want to say something about humility, because that is what keeps us grounded.
Definitely.
No matter how much we achieve, right? No matter how much we achieve, someone somewhere out there helped open a door, said a prayer, or offered encouragement. So the question I have for anyone who's listening, who are you lifting up? Who are you helping? Who are you empowering? Again, you talk about, the podcast that you're on, all about empowering her for success. Success means nothing if we don't pass it forward. Giving back isn't just about making money or status. It is about showing up, being present, and using our experiences to inspire and support others, right? So whether it's through mentoring a young person, or volunteering, or simply speaking life into someone who needs it, we all of us, we have something to give. So as we close on this program tonight, I want anyone who's listening to this broadcast right now, or will listen later, ask yourself this: who am I grateful for? And have I told them recently? How am I staying humble and continue to grow? And what am I doing to give back and help someone else rise? Again, we're getting ready to go to Kenya at the Collision with Purpose. We have some friends who are coming with us, and it's all about giving back. We're not going there because we want to go to Kenya necessarily. We're going there because we're called to go to Kenya, and it's the work that is calling. We're going to do that. So in the end, the true measure of our success is not what we gain, it's the impact we leave behind. So Shanea, thank you so much for being a living example of that. All right, we appreciate you. Donna?
Thank you for having me.
All right, so I would like to say thank you for being here with us this evening, Shanea. We certainly appreciate it. You left us with a wealth of information, and I am sure that someone out there listening, it has definitely impacted them. Thank you for our listeners for joining us this Thursday evening. I know that we went over on time. Do apologize for that, but thanks for hanging out with us. We certainly appreciate it. And I will ask for everyone, tomorrow is Friday, to go out and do an act of kindness for someone that you do not know, a perfect stranger. And with that, I am going to say have a wonderful rest of the evening and a safe weekend.
Thank you for having me.
Step into the spotlight.
Couple lights on, cameras roll. Time to break the mold. No more silence, every story's gotta be told. Truth in the air, no filter, no disguise. Real talk, real change. We open up your eyes. We got the voices that are changing the game. Fearless, unchained, calling